Hi everyone, welcome to Module 5. Today I want to talk to you briefly about disciplinary voice. What does it mean to write like a scientist or a mathematician? So when we talk about disciplinary voice, we talk about that certain sound, the way the words feel when we read them. So if I'm writing like a mathematician, then my words have a certain way of being put together that makes other people know that a mathematician wrote them. It might be a word problem. If I'm writing like a scientist, my work has a scientific sound to it. Maybe I'm using scientific terms, a very objective third person type of voice. If I'm writing like a musician, what does a musician's writing sound like? All of these have different voices, and it's important to think about what kind of voice you want to communicate and what kind of voice you want to establish when you write. So establishing voice is something that writers work on for years and years. Stephen King, if you know who he is, he's a horror writer. He's worked really hard on getting his voice down. So he has a certain way of writing that when you read it, you know that Stephen King wrote it. You don't even have to see the byline. You know that that's a Stephen King piece. Other writers with strong voice are Jodi Picoult or Hemingway. Hemingway has a very strong voice. He writes in very short sentences. So it's important for students to establish their voice. They need to be authentic. They need to write like themselves, write like they talk, but also be aware that audience, of course, is crucial when we're establishing our voice. If we're writing for a community of scholars, our scholarly voice will be different than if we're writing for a bunch of lay people. So voice is something that we want to talk to our students about, and that we also want to work hard to establish. So think about, what does your writing sound like? What do you want it to sound like? And who is your audience?